what is the perspective from North Macedonia, a non-EU member state, and a very different case from Cyprus?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers of the Delphi Economic Forum. It's always a great privilege for me to be here. And since I'm here in Athens, I'd like to congratulate the Greek people for the bicentennial of the revolution. First of all, maybe brief remark on what small states are. To us, Greece is far from a small state. It's a big state, so it's very relative. And it's not only size, it's also the economic potential, so the GDP. I think military resources also mean something. The network of friendships a country has also makes a big difference. The more friends you have, the more powerful and influential you become. So I think we have to take that into account. I think our friend Jean Asselborn, the foreign minister of Luxembourg, that Nikos also mentioned, will not be upset with us if we use Luxembourg as an example. Per capita, it's probably the richest member state of the European Union. Luxembourg on its own is different than Luxembourg within the Benelux cooperation. So regional groupings, regional cooperation clusters matter. Then Luxembourg is a member of NATO, which has another layer of importance, and then of course the European Union. So you also inspired me, you mentioned the Lilliputians of our global system, the Jonathan Swift's Gulliver Travel. They managed to tie him up and even made him fight on their behalf, to do their fighting. So I think it will be a mistake to completely underestimate small states in international relations. We've learned many lessons in our 30 years since independence. We managed to join NATO with the support of our neighbors in Athens. So I think small states like predictability and integration. It's in some way the instinct to seek shelter. You're covered when you have bigger friends around you. Geography also, as Minister Christodoulides mentioned, also makes a big difference. It's one thing to have another small states, a group as neighbors, or you have bigger neighbors, and it's quite a different story if they're friendly or if they're not so friendly. So I think we have a keen interest to endorse a rules-based international system where multilateralism matters. The honest brokers is, I think, a very interesting point, because we don't really have vested interest. We are usually, especially on issues and countries beyond our region, we can definitely play that role of an honest broker. So in our diplomacy and foreign policy, in these last years, the approach has been to focus on the future, to focus on common interest, to make it difficult for others to raise an issue with you. So to be friendly, to be open, and to work together. And I think this, I know that we will also discuss that in more details, this became even more important in this pandemic times, this challenge. And I can tell you many details about cooperation with Greece, with other countries in the region, that really made a difference in how we faced the challenges of the pandemic.
Given this background, what are the main goals of North Macedonia? How do you think a small state and North Macedonia in particular can navigate complexity effectively?
Yes. Since '93, I think we've set our strategic direction to be close and then join the, let's call it the political West. Those values, democracies, freedoms, human rights, and civil liberties. So we did one. We are the youngest and the 30th member state of NATO, an alliance for peace, which is important in particular when times are unpredictable and where the frameworks that we used to take for granted are now somewhat shaken. We live in a changing world. I think the whole global system is, to some extent, is in transition. Then we are part of a region that is geographically European and encircled by member states of the European Union, even though many, in particular in the West, when they think the Balkans, they think we border the European Union. We are actually within. Economically, we share the European destiny. 3/4 of what we trade is with the common market. Almost half of Greece is an important trading partner. Almost half of what we produce goes to the German market. Also, about 3/4 of every foreign direct investment that comes to North Macedonia is a company from one of the member states of the European Union. So we are there, and we are, I think, one of the more striking sagas when it comes to European integration. A baby born in Skopje would turn 20 years old if it was born on the day we signed the accession, the Association and Stabilization Agreement with the European Union. We lost generations and many years. We removed the obstacles. The Commission repeatedly says we are ready to start the journey, the accession talks. And one way how to help our case is, and I've been doing that lately, traveling to many capitals in Europe, is to explain why this is also in the interest of the member states and the Brussels institutions. If we want this to be a geopolitical commission, if that commission and this union cannot make a difference in the region when there is promise of membership ever since Thessaloniki 2003, when we have funds through the IPA mechanism where we can do things, then we can forget about making a difference beyond the European Union. Then, because of the praise that we received in resolving bilateral issues, the reform agenda at home, I think what happens with us, whether Europe keeps its promise, will be a message also for the rest of the region. Is it worth doing difficult things or not? Will Europe deliver on what they promised they will deliver if we deliver? So I think we've managed, not only, I think these are obvious elements, to raise the stakes that our success will be a success for the European Union, will be a success for our region, the Western Balkans, and will be a success for all of our neighbors, for Greece, but also for Bulgaria and our friendship with Bulgaria. So
it's a win-win game.
Yes, I think if we frame and think and act in this lose-lose or win-win, then we have bigger chances than entertaining or engaging in a blame game. A blame game, you can't really win when you have an issue with your neighbors if they don't win as well. Briefly, I think there are many countries who did somewhat better than bigger countries. I think Greece actually coped quite well. We all had ups and downs, but I think altogether, Greece is one of the countries that sets an example how a rapid, engaged, centralized government can actually introduce preventive measures, in a way tame the spread of the virus. Small countries have limited resources. Some countries with very limited fiscal space will struggle, especially on the economic side, of mitigating the economic consequence. And this is why it's important institutions such as the World Bank to take this into account, because after we are done with the fight for life and health of the people, I think the economic struggles will definitely be our first priority. And I think we've learned how intense cooperation really helps. We maybe could have done a bit better, but the inclusion of the countries from the region in the joint procurement, the civil protection mechanism of the European Union, really made a difference. I'm gonna conclude. Whenever I visit Greece, I come up with a new Greek word. And I started with philia, then symphonia, then galini. I would struggle if I have to translate galini into English. I think the last time we met with Miltiadis, it was orama, the vision, the future. And now on the debate about starting accession process and Europe delivering on it in its decision from last March, we should start, North Macedonia and Albania. It's Tora. Tora είναι η ώρα.